Hi, I'm Chris, and in this talk today I wanted to open up the discussion about a third-party grader system in private schools. So let me talk about what I'm referring to as far as that's concerned. I think that with a lot of private schools, they have the number of applicants that simply means they don't have to worry about filling those seats. There are way more applicants than there are seats available, and at those schools there's oftentimes a little bit less external pressure to succumb to pressures from parents to give students certain kinds of grades in order to keep the parents happy and make the parents feel that they're really getting that value out of their investment for sending their students to that school. And that's great when that's the case, because that's really honestly how it should be, is that schools don't succumb to those pressures and the grade received is really the grade earned. However, when enrollment is low, when schools are looking to fill those seats, and when you're dealing with parents who are paying top dollar, sometimes $30,000 a year, similar to what tuition would be at a very expensive, very nice private university, a lot of times there is a little bit of parental pressure on the school to have the grades that that student receives correspond to their level of investment. Particularly in the case of parents who have multiple kids who are at the same school. If you have 2 or 3 students attending a $30,000 a year school, let's say it's 3 students, between what you're spending on tuition and books and field trips, you're probably spending well over $100,000 per year at that institution. And what I question is, how objective can we be in grading when that's the case? Can someone who is receiving $100,000 a year of payment towards their institution from a parent be fully objective in evaluating a student when occasionally, and I've been parts of these conversations, and I've worked in schools before where someone has said, hey, look, this student and his 3 sisters all go to school here. Mom called and was really upset that he earned a C in this class. What can you do? Can you give an extra credit assignment, or is there anything you can do to work with him on pulling that grade up? And I think that's a serious problem that we need to consider, because what it ends up doing is negative for the student himself or herself, but it's also really negative for the institution. That's how a lot of private schools with these really expensive tuitions end up having grades that are kind of watered down, and they don't have that same kind of reputation as the schools that don't succumb to those kinds of parental pressures. So I think the idea of a third-party grader system is simply this, that the class would run the same way. It's taught by a teacher at the school, the tests are given by teachers in the school, but then those results are given to someone else to do the grading. Some sort of third-party institution that either comes into schools or remotely, whether it's done online or using scanned images, is able to take those results, and that institution is then able to evaluate those results more objectively than, say, the teacher or even the administration who's directly involved with that student and with that family who's paying top dollar to be there. So let me know your thoughts on whether or not this is something that could ever be implemented, what would have to be taken into account in order to implement a system like this, and what the approximate cost might be to start the ball rolling and try to figure out whether or not that is a reasonable solution to the idea of parental pressures impacting student grades at really expensive private schools. Thanks for listening.